In this video, we're going to look at how LV financials can help you determine how much you need to save for retirement. For this analysis, you will need a premium account. Having a premium account will give you access to the premium tools from the Tools drop-down in the top right. To start off, let's go to the Budget Planning dashboard. The first time you come to the Budget Planning dashboard, you will be greeted with a survey that walks you through questions regarding your monthly spending habits and your income. After answering those questions, you will be directed to the dashboard that you see here. To do this analysis, you'll need the yearly budget information. So go down to the radio buttons below the graphs and click View Yearly Budget. It is likely that the information you enter in the survey will show different values here. I have entered basic information in the survey just for the purpose of example, and that gives me a current budget spending of $10,000 per year, roughly. And that is the yearly budget that we can base our plan off of. The reason we came here first was to capture this baseline. When planning for retirement, one way to do it is to look at your current spending and project that your current spending will be the annual spending that you will have during your retirement. This is not always true, but it is a good assumption to start with. Instead of using $10,000 or even $11,000 though, we're just going to round this off and say $12,000. That would give us a budget of roughly $1,000 per month. The next step is to actually enter the account information that we will be using for retirement planning. You can do this by going up to your username in the top right and going to the My Accounts from the drop-down. This page shows you the account groups that you have created. You can create one here or edit an existing group. This page shows the accounts in your retirement account group. If you go in to edit the accounts, you can see the account plans group name up here at the top. I have selected Other as the account type. I've given this account a name Test just for the purpose of example. And I have set the account balance at $240,000. Now, how did I come up with this number? Well, I simply multiplied an estimate of $12,000 per year, which works out to $1,000 per month, times 20, because I'm assuming that the length of the retirement will be exactly 20 years. And this will come into play in a moment. So once you enter in the account information here, you can go to the retirement planning dashboard. But before you do, make sure that the account balance is the balance that you expect to have at the time of your retirement. This is not the balance that you have presently at the current time, but the balance that you expect to have. You can use the savings planning tool if you need to come up with a better estimate of what that might be. But assuming that you have a number in mind, let's go up to the Tools drop-down and go to the Retirement Planning dashboard. To keep things simple, we're just going to leave a bunch of these things as the defaults. But we're going to change the tax filing status to married filing jointly. We're going to say, yes, I am retired. And we're going to assume that the spouse's age is also 65. And now we'll go over to the withdrawal type. We'll change this to amount and set the withdrawal amount here to the annual withdrawal amount, which we have specified as $12,000. The growth rate that's shown here is the percentage growth that you expect your retirement account to grow during the years of your retirement. So for example, we have selected 2035 from this drop-down. This growth rate, therefore, is assuming that your account will grow 5% in the year 2035. But since you are expected to retire this year based on these inputs, we can drop this down to say 2%, because by the time you retire, you should probably have your funds in more conservative investments. So let's click Submit and then scroll down. The graph that you want to pay attention to is the total account balance over time. As long as this is above 0, then you know that your plan has enough money to cover the entire duration of your retirement. Now in the inputs up top, we specified 20 years as the timeline or the duration of your retirement. We started the retirement period at age 65, so that gives you enough money to live up until age 85. You might want to extend or shorten this depending on your own personal circumstances. Let's look at what else this dashboard can do. If you scroll up to the account cash flow, this shows the net cash flow of all accounts over time. The black line shows the net cash flow. You can see that it is consistently below 0 because every year you are withdrawing more from your accounts than you are getting in terms of growth. However, the purple bar above the 0 mark shows you the growth for any given year. If you scroll down, you can see that there's a graph that shows income over time, and if you hover over the bars, you can see the pre-tax and net income. You can see that over the entire duration of this plan, we are withdrawing $12,000 per year, and you'll notice that the income tax is constant for the entire duration of the plan. This is an assumption. Right now, we are assuming that the income tax will be what it is in the current year and that it will remain constant over the entire duration of your retirement. Most likely, that will not be the case. In the future, we plan to implement a tax projection model that will estimate these income taxes more accurately. But for now, using the current tax brackets as a baseline is a good benchmark to go off of. If you scroll down further, you can see a plan table that shows the data associated with all of these graphs. Scrolling down further, you can see an income breakdown for the selected year. Recall that from the drop down at the very top of this page, we had 2035 selected. This retirement income breakdown graph corresponds to that selected year. So if you select a different year from the drop down and click Submit, this will update depending on which year you select. At the very bottom of this dashboard, you have additional information with some numbers related to your account and retirement plan. But let's scroll back up and play out a different scenario. Let's select the year 2037. And let's suppose that in this year you need to withdraw more than usual. So let's change the withdrawal amount to $20,000. Then we'll click Submit and see what happens. First, ignore the cash flow plot and scroll down to the total account balance over time. You can see that now your account balance drops to 0 by the year 2049. So your initial balance of $240,000 is no longer enough to cover you over the entire duration of your retirement. Now let's go back up to the cash flow plot. You can see that in the year 2037, you begin to withdraw a lot more, but that continues. So what exactly is going on? Well, let's scroll down to the income over time plot, and it will become clearer. You can see that in 2037, you've begun to withdraw $20,000, but you'll notice that that $20,000 is automatically filled forward as far as possible. In 2049, you would have withdrawn $20,000, but there was not enough money left in the account, so you only withdrew the remaining balance. And then in 2050, there was nothing to withdraw. This shows you an important feature of this dashboard. Every year that you select from this drop-down in the inputs has the values that you specify for that year automatically filled forward in time until the end of your retirement plan. So since we've selected 2037 and we've changed the withdrawal amount, that change propagates forward in time for the remainder of the retirement plan. If you wanted to change it back, you could go to the very next year and drop this back down to $12,000. And then click Submit and see how that impacts the plan. Now if you scroll down, you can see that this has been showed in the account cash flow plot. In 2037, you withdrew $20,000, but then in 2038, you're back to $12,000, and that number propagates forward until the end of the plan. Let's make one more change. Let's go back up and select the year 2040 and change the withdrawal amount to 0. Click Submit. Now let's go down and look at what happens. The account cash flow plot shows you that in 2040 you withdrew nothing. So you actually had positive cash flow because you had the account growth. Recall that the account growth was specified as 2%. So in this year it grew 2% and you withdrew nothing. The same thing happened in 2041. But something interesting happens in 2042. You've actually withdrawn money. Now, even though you specified 0 as your withdrawal amount, you still have money withdrawn here in 2042. The reason for this is that the IRS has a required minimum distribution, and in the year 2042, that required minimum distribution, or RMD, went into effect. If you scroll down to the data table at the very bottom, you can see this. So look at the withdrawal and the required minimum distribution columns in this table. You can see that the RMD is $0 for the first few years. You can see that in 2040, you withdrew nothing and you had a $0 RMD. Now if we go forward, you can see that in the year 2042, the RMD takes effect, and the amount that you're required to withdraw in 2042 is $7,835.20. That RMD is based on several factors like your age and your marital status and your tax filing status. Notice that even though the withdrawal is still $0, because that $0 is lower than the required minimum distribution, you are forced to withdraw that RMD amount. And because your withdrawal is 0 for the remainder of your retirement plan, the RMD also takes effect for the remainder of your retirement plan, which is why, if you scroll back up, you can see that your income is positive, even though you specified a $0 withdrawal. You can continue to play around with these numbers to modify your retirement plan and figure out more specifically how much money you might need. This drop-down and the inputs here give you the flexibility to modify your plan and fit it to your lifestyle and your expected retirement habits. That way, you can come back up to the accounts and change the amount that you plan to have in your retirement account at the time of your retirement to meet the needs of your retirement plan. And that way, you can plan to fill your account as much as you need to by the time you retire.